Kia ora everyone. Yes, I'm Mea Motu. I'm known as the Nightmare, and I'm a professional boxer, undefeated, and I'm from the far, far north, little town called Pukepoto. That's my home, and I'm loud and proud to be from Pukepoto. I love it. I'm just a rough little Māori girl who grew up from a little town. Man, I could tell my story for long, so I've only got a short time, but man, I'll try and make it as quick as possible, but I'll mainly talk about my story is the most powerful thing about me, and it's very hard to try and not tell most of my story. So my story has made me who I am, and it's made me find my identity. And my journey hasn't been easy, and boxing has given me the strength and courage to be who I am today, and definitely find my strength and my power to be Māori. I am 20-0, undefeated, and I will stay like that. I won't be defeated, trust me, and 8 knockouts. I am definitely a threat, and the world knows who I am, and they definitely know my last name, which is Motu, and they know where I'm from. They always call, when I go overseas, they say, oh, they don't call me by my first name, they call me Motu. Where's Motu? And I'm like, that's me. And I'm so proud because my last name is something very strong in me. And I carry that because that's my grandfather's name, my ancestor's last name. And everyone knows who I am with that name. I'm more proud to carry that name and let the world know how proud I am to be called Motu. Yes, I'm a mother of 5, and I'll try and make this sweet and short because I'd rather talk more about my boxing, but my story is very quick. I have 5 kids, 2 different dads. One child's missing there, my middle child, but I've been through domestic violence. It was a challenge. It was definitely hard and definitely scary. And the justice system failed me, let me down. And I fought. I had to fight for my life. I didn't want to live. I struggled to survive. But I survived for my kids. And I didn't realize how beautiful it was to be Māori because of my kids. I don't speak my language. I lost it. As soon as I got ripped away from home, I lost my identity, I forgot who I was, and society allowed me to just fall into that English world. Because I was always told, you're never going to get anywhere speaking Māori or being Māori. So I fell for that, and I fell into that society. And so I grew up speaking English and refusing to speak Māori. And I was ashamed. I was actually ashamed. I was scared to even say that I was Māori. I was so embarrassed. And I only learned that once I had children. I got better, I got stronger, and I found the courage. And I didn't realize how lucky I had it. I came from a beautiful whānau, Te Raroa, Maimarai, loud and proud, and that was my whānau. And the way to make me happy was to feed. I love to eat. Honestly, my aunties knew how to make a kai, because man, I love food. Trust me, I shouldn't be. Don't ask me for diet advice, because I'll give you the wrong ones. Honestly, I eat chocolate, seafood, kinners are my favorite, and I love pig hunting. But boxing, I was very in and out. I did boxing at a young age. I started at 12, and I only did it to get attention and to be a people pleaser. I was a people pleaser, yes. I tried to get attention from my parents and my family, and I wasn't really that good. Well, everyone said I was, but I was more of a scared fighter. I would punch and run away. Like, catch me if you can. And trust me, they didn't catch me. So I was lucky I didn't have any big bruises or marks. But as my journey went on, I met my partner, and we both boxed, and he became into drugs, alcohol, and he was in a gang. And I followed that. I pulled away from my family. I neglected my family because I fell for his world, and I got stuck in it. And I never did drugs, and I've never touched a cigarette in my life. I've been bashed for trying to be doing drugs, and I refused to do it. That was the stubbornness in me. So I'd rather get bashed, and I refused to do it. Not a nice thing. I didn't like it, hated it, and I hated him. And he was the main reason why I didn't want to learn Māori, because he could speak it fluently. So he built that fear, and he groomed me for so many years. I lived my life running for so many years until my daughter. My daughter Leilani, I'll never forget this day. I'm going to make this short because I want to talk more about my sport. My daughter Leilani, she would have been about 7 years old, and all my kids can speak Māori because I made sure that they could, because I lost it. But my daughter Leilani, she was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was running away from their father, and he kept finding me every time. Waitangi Day, I'll never forget it. This day changed my whole life because I ran and lived in fear. I've been to the top of the North Island to the South Island running from this man for about 3-4 years, living in fear. Me and my daughter were at Waitangi. We walked home. Her dad jumped through the window, found me and her, and he had a knife. He was off his face, drugged out, I could tell. And this is hard to tell. My ex-partner at the time grabbed a knife and tried to stab me. My daughter, who was only 7 or 8, vulnerable, but not living in fear, not scared, not afraid, jumped in front of that knife to save me. That moment changed my whole life. I stopped living in fear because she showed me courage. Why is she's only a child. She should be only living a child life. She should have a mother making a stand for her. I should be fighting. But she chose to risk her life and jump in front of that knife. The knife missed and stabbed me in the shoulder. He got arrested. My daughter, she's seen heaps. My son has seen heaps, both my oldest. But they're the most lovingest kids. And they only wanted the best for their mum. I pulled away from boxing because I got scared and I wanted to focus on my children. So a couple of years went on and I found my gym that I am now, Peach Boxing, West Auckland. I walked in that gym and I had all my kids, and I just had my newborn to a different partner, and we split. I'm a solo mum, and I've been a solo mum for 4 years now. And I walked in when my daughter, she would have been about 6 months. And I walked into that gym, and my coach, Isaac, goes, "Oh, you're going to be the next world champion." And I said, No, I didn't sign up for boxing. I just came to sign up to train. I don't want to fight. I hate fighting. I'm too scared. I'm living in fear. And he said, No, you're going to be the next world champion. So I pushed, and I went through, and I didn't listen. I kept training. And I started finding the love and passion for boxing. I had my first fight. I signed up for it. Never thought I was going to do it. And I was like, damn, what's the worst that can happen? I've been through worse, so let's just do it. I gave it a go. First punch, and trust me, pro boxing is a total different game. It's about who's the biggest puncher and power punching, and it's 10 rounds. First punch hit me, I was scared. Trust me. I was bloody scared. It hit me, and I thought, is that all she's got? Really? I was like, oh man, I'm born to do this. So I punched her away, and the fight finished, and I saw her face, and I was like, did I do that? Nah, I didn't do that. And I was like, man, I've found something I love and enjoy, and that was professional boxing. And I thought, what the heck? I've just been through domestic violence. But boxing, through that journey, it has been very challenging. And boxing also found the connection with my kids. I found my connection with my children because they started coming to training with me, and I started joining with them, going to kura, because my kids were going to Hawaii Waititi. Yes, Waititi ha, that's what they always say. And I started finding my connection to be Māori. And so, because I couldn't speak the language, but my kids were in it. And my son would always harp on and say, come on, Mum, you need to learn. I was like, yeah, I'll get there. I'm too busy with boxing. But they were teaching me, and they didn't even know. And it wasn't until I had my world title, and I fought for that world title. I had a broken rib at that time. So I had a broken rib. I walked to that ring. My kids, I walked out to a song, and it was Don't Forget Your Roots in Te Ao Māori. And when I walked out to that song, my kids gathered. I didn't even know, they surprised me. My kids and one of the boys that they go to school with and who fights with me, Sunny Morini, also from Waititi, they gathered, they did a surprise haka for me as I walked out to the ring. And that changed me, because when I walked up to that ring, I felt that haka. I didn't just feel their haka. I felt my ancestors when I walked to that ring. And I was in pain. I was in agony. Has anyone had a broken rib? Because trust me, I was in pain. And I thought I wasn't going to get through this. But when I walked through those ropes and I felt that haka, I felt undefeated already. And it was so challenging. It was so challenging. But that haka, I felt like it was a war already. And that's what carried me. It kept me strong. And I felt so invincible that through that broken rib, I knew I was untouchable, and I knew I was going to win. And I won. And then I redefended my title, and I dislocated my shoulder. It popped out in the first round. That was like crazy. I didn't even know I did it. I couldn't believe I did it. But what came to my head when I popped that shoulder was like, nothing's harder than giving birth. Definitely. So suck it up, buttercup, and pull it out, and let's fight. And so through each challenge I've had in each fight, it's taught me something new about me. I've learned so much about not just being the fighter, but I already knew I already had it in me because my ancestors taught me. I look back at the little girl that I used to be, the rough, little rugged Māori girl that I used to be. I had it all the time. And that's what kept me strong. I was invincible. I knew who I was. But I was still crazy up here. Trust me. But I started learning more about my culture, understanding where I came from. And I started learning that, man, we all play safe. We all play comfortable. We don't want to take a step out and come out of our comfortable zone. We all play safe. That's what I learned. But our ancestors never. They always challenged. They always put up a fight, and they never gave up. And I learned something so beautiful. I was in this fight, and I learned after my fight, when I won my titles, I learned something so beautiful. We are so lucky to be Māori, because I've traveled all over the world, and nothing beats our culture. Trust me. My son even said it. My son said, our culture's alive, Mum, and keep it alive, but it's slowly dying. And I said, wow, our language is thriving. He goes, yeah, the language is thriving, but our values and principles is slowly dying. Because in our marae, we're losing all our speakers. Because in my generation, of my cousins, we all fell into that society of not speaking reo. So we've only got one uncle who's still alive, and that stands on that paipai, and that whai kōrero's for all of us. And he's old as the hills. Like, poor old man, he shouldn't be even sitting on there. He's so sick. And my son said, we need to fight, Mum. Don't give up. You know, this is my 17-year-old. Said, don't give up, Mum. Fight through everything. He said, you're undefeated and you will stay defeated because our ancestors stayed defeated. You know, they're undefeated, our ancestors. And he said, Mum, you carry them into the ring. He goes, you're keeping them alive. They go with you everywhere you go. When you walk into that ring, they're with you. And my recent fight that I just had, that you guys just saw on the TV, that was my recent fight. I knew who I was. I knew I lived in no shame, no fear, because I'm not afraid to talk about my shame and fear. I'm not ashamed. If you're going through struggle, speak. Have a voice. Because we need to let the world know that we're here. So I speak. I have a voice. I'm not living in fear. I've got no shame. And I'm proud to be Māori. So that's my biggest challenge. And my next fight is, I'm so gutted I have to make this short. I feel like I've spoken nothing. But my next fight is in the UK, January the 18th, and I will be the first New Zealander, Kiwi, Māori, to make history. I've done better than David Tua too. Great. To unify multiple world titles. No one's ever done it. And this little Māori girl is going to do it. Yeah! But before I finish, I just want you to know, look what's behind you. Look what's behind you. We need to fight for our next generation. Have a voice, speak up, and lead by example for our tamariki. Listen, really stay in tune to our kids, because our kids are killing themselves. I've been into schools, I go into schools, and I hear children committing suicide because they can't handle pressure. They're struggling because we get so caught up in our stuff that we neglect them. We silence them because we take stuff away from them when we don't actually give them the tools and coping mechanisms of how to navigate through life, how to handle challenges. When challenges are thrown at them, we need to give them advice. Listen to our children, because our children are drowning, and we need to have that voice. So lead by example. You know, what I refuse to show on social media, I don't drink, but I refuse to show that because it's normalizing that behavior and it's saying it's okay to our kids. If you put that on social media, because my son said, Mum, I see all these athletes or all these high-profile people and they're drinking. Is that a good thing? I'm like, no. That's just like for them, yes, do it privately, but please, our kids think it's okay. The way you present yourself plays an effect on our children, and that's why they're drowning in here, because they think the best way of coping, the best way of celebrating is drinking or partying or whatever. I teach my children, you know what, when I finish my fight, I've just been bashed and beaten up. I walk to McDonald's or whatever. I go and celebrate and enjoy the moments with my kids. Time is precious. Time is precious. I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of time. Making time and making sure what I leave behind, my daughter's prepared. So if I die tomorrow, I've given her the tools and coping mechanisms for challenges that get thrown at her. So lead by example. Trust me, you guys can change it. You can change it. You can change the next generation by fighting for our kids and listen and lead by example. Be great role models and be proud of who you are. Your identity, what makes you special. We're all human beings, but we have culture and that's what makes us special. So be proud of who you are. Walk this earth, go for your dreams, don't live in fear, and your greatness is staring right in front of you because you're already great. You don't need a trophy to say that you're great. The greatness is you leading by example. That's the greatness. Showing up is the greatness. Be true to who you are. Don't fake who you are, because we are our children's greatest role models. So, thank you, guys.